given the nature of this chapter, it looks like we're out of the transitionary phase between the last arc and the current arc. And for those who don't know, usually I just use that term for the content right after an arc finishes, where we get to like more like kind of like slice of life, more character set, everyday kind of stuff, like what we got with like Shion and everything around like those areas of just like, oh yeah, this is a fun chapter kind of thing, where it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with like the larger scale things, and it's pretty much just a calming, supposed to get you comfortable and relaxed kind of chapter, or just ones that are more funny. But outside of that, I think just by the nature of how this chapter ended, that this was a important plot piece chapter, especially near the end. So it starts out what I would thought it was going to be more of, oh yeah, cool, it's a another one of the transitionary ones, but it's going to be in focus of Taiyo and his power. I thought that was actually pretty good, like just as what it seemed to be, where it was just going to be him having like a day of controlling his power. I thought it was still cool because we're still going to get to see more of him just using his hardening bloom like ability. And what they did that was really interesting is that I figured his hardening was almost entirely going to be just defensively, like he's going to harden his body for like withstanding attacks, but he's also got like the physical strength added to go up with it, and like not just enhanced strength, but obviously like striking things with your body harden just does more damage. I was actually surprised on that, because I thought it was thinking only on a defensive standpoint. I didn't think they were going to give him just like the level of just striking power and general offensive capability that could come with what he got as power. Like, it was actually way more spread than I thought, which is cool. So that just gives him a little bit of power foreshadowing for future fights and future events, that he can actually do some damage now just off of his own ability. Like, Taiyo should have no problem beating like random goons now. Like beforehand, where it was just off his training and his skill that he acquired. That was one thing, but now with like this for sure power, like he can withstand bullets and knives and like general attacks, as well as he's going to be dishing out way more physical power attacks. So unless somebody has like a blooming power of their own, or like is a advanced robot or something kind of crazy, I doubt Taiyo would have a whole lot of problem with most opponents. Like, he should be stronger than most people in the world. I would guess like the only people we're going to really see are enhanced spies and like powerful people that are outright able to trounce him, kind of like Kyochiro's level people, the gold star spies. Anybody around there, I would assume, can still kind of like no diff him, but like probably like some, like most silvers and probably any of the other bronze tier people, he should have no problem really defeating. And we see like throughout his day of him trying to control his abilities. Like at one point he's at his desk and he's getting hassled by some of his classmates about his relationship with Mutsumi. And he gets immediately irritated and like cracks the desk up, just kind of like splinters all the wood and starts breaking it. And there's even a point where he goes through a door and like instead of just opening it, like you would have to be so absent-minded to not even really think about like, hey, there's a door there. But also, it would definitely give away like a lot of red flags and question marks if you came through a door so hard that you made a silhouette of yourself like in a cartoon. Like you would have to essentially like hit the door so hard that it's like paper and you're just like going right through it, no problem. No even real like impacts. Like there's no contact. You just almost pass through it like it's a freaking cloud or like a thing of haze. But he's just doing his thing. Like throughout the chapter, it shows him just in bad spots, like him flicking what was his name, Sosuke. I remembered his first name. I completely forgot what it was at this point, just because he's been off the bench so long, or on the bench so long. When you get anything up in the island arc, and I guess he's not that strong, but maybe he could have fought like the very weakest bad guy in order to maybe see what he's capable of. But I mean, at least for now, he's just a gag character. And Taiyo had a day just trying to gain control of his powers, and then during the end, like at night when he's getting ready to go to sleep, one of those Yozakura flowers like starts growing out of his hand, and not only that, like it's got a leaf as well, and he can't control his blooming. Because that's actually the one thing I forgot to mention, like in terms of like this chapter itself, is obviously like, he can't control his blooming. Like I alluded to it, but I never brought up the fact that part of the overall problem. I feel like it should just be noted. And he's like, and in no way in control at this point, where it's just like the blooming is consuming him and starting to grow and take over his body. And he hears a voice in his head that's telling him to, like, think of someone that's precious to you, like a reason to live kind of setup, and he's able to control the flowers to kind of recede, calm down. And I'm actually curious, like, I mean, it's definitely like some form of weird energy thing. I mean, there's a flower growing out of nothing, but outside of that, it like decays, and it doesn't look like the petals are like physically there anymore. It looks like they almost kind of disintegrated. Especially like in the process of them going off, they just kind of like cease to be. So I guess like some weird ethereal flowers or something, if they're disconnected. Maybe they're like useful if you can prune them off somebody. I wonder how that would work. But when he's kind of in control for that brief moment, he notices like it looks like he's being kind of caressed by the first Yozakura head woman. Like, and that's what I meant, where it was like a random plot piece chapter at the very end of the chapter. Because for the most part, it was like, oh, Taiyo has no control over his blooming. He's got to wear these special contacts to cover his eyes. He's like Lelouch now. And he's just having a power difficulty day. It wasn't until like near the end, or it decided to reveal the original Yozakura like is in his head. So he's got a very important character just like gonna be messing with his mind, I would assume, throughout the next probably arc. And who knows how long this is gonna last and whatever nefarious thing she could go about it. Because on top of that, he didn't tell anybody that he saw those visions and that Kawashita like did that thing to his head. So that might be like a plot point in and of itself, like him not revealing information to everybody else could form like a rift once revealed if they're mad at him about it. I don't know. Like, I guess it would really depend on his reasoning and depend on how they find out and stuff, and like what transpires because of this knowledge, and her just being in Taiyo's brain. Like, what is her plan? Like, how does this exactly work? Is she existent in like these powers? Or is it because of the memories Taiyo put inside, or Kawashita put in Taiyo's head, that maybe awaken this or cause this? So I don't really know where this is gonna fully go in terms of like where this character is going to exist and what she's going to do. But it's definitely a really, really crazy way to end off this chapter, and probably right before we start getting into whatever the next arc is. Because for the most part, this was like the whole of the chapter was pretty easy to read. It was more on Taiyo. There wasn't a whole lot really to fully discuss. Like it was a very simple chapter up until this point, because this is just such a last minute bombshell to the context of the story that it's hard to grasp what exactly this is going to lead to. But anyway, other than that, tell me your thoughts about this, and like, what do you think like the first head is up to? What is she planning, and how this is going to go? And I really appreciate your thumbs up the video, from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.